Welcome to the presentation, Community Power Structures. My name is Christy Tatman, and we're just going to talk about how the power structures in a community can influence the school, the district, or campus level. So within the school district, the power structure could be formal or informal ways um, of having influence, authority, and decision-making power within different groups or people that are in the community as stakeholders. So it's not really something you can always put in a formal chart, but it's more observational, but it really does still shape the decisions in the school either way. So first we have our school board, which are our elected officials who they're going to make all of our policies. They're going to decide our budgets. They decide our teacher raises or pay scale and who gets hired. And I guess I haven't dealt with this yet, but probably who gets fired as well. So it'll be important as a campus principal to keep in touch with the school board and be very clear with communication and stay up to date with them. I know that we have our board meetings once a month, and the week before that, we're expected to turn in any items that we have up that we need approval. Like if we live really close to a state line, so if we want to take a field trip over that state line, we'll have to have board approval. We also get to celebrate with our board and take exceptional students or groups that have excelled to the board meetings for recognition. They want to hear about the good just as much as anything else. So we stay in good communication with them and make sure that they know what's happening on our campus. When they come onto our campus, we want to have student leaders take them around, show them what's happening in our building. We always want to be open, welcoming, because they do a lot of work for us that we appreciate, and we just want to make sure they know that they are definitely an influential power source in our school. Of course, our superintendent and everyone at our admin office is going to have a lot of power with what happens with our campus. They bring those new initiatives to us. Like this year, the legislation had a lot of updates. So they brought in, actually, they brought in our lawyers in to tell us and kind of help us go through those. The big one was the cell phone policy, of course, and now we need to have a syllabus put on our website for every class, even at the elementary level. So we talk with our assistant superintendent a lot because she's over curriculum. Our superintendent, we don't see him as often. We know he's working hard in the background. He's just not the face that's on campus as often, but he's very accessible when needed. We give a lot of information to our superintendent, but most of that they do have access to ahead of time, so they're just waiting for us to make it pretty, or sometimes they're giving us the information because they have it first and they get to it first. We spend time at the beginning of the year with our leadership retreat, and that was all of the admin and assistant principals as well coming into the admin office. And we had a great time, but there was a lot of substance behind it too. So it was a day to get to know each other, but also go over a lot of important information. And then I know our campus principals have ILT meetings, and then assistant principals also have meetings to where we get information throughout the year. And I believe those are monthly, if maybe not quite maybe more like 6 weeks. But we see our curriculum directors and our testing directors. All of those people really are on our campus probably weekly on average, and they sit in meetings with us. They come to grade level meetings. They help us make big decisions. They help us enforce laws that we have to bring out to our teachers that maybe are not well understood or accepted in the beginning, and we kind of work through that together as a team. So we get a lot of support from them. Of course, principals and administrators have a lot of power over our campus. We get to know kids and teachers and parents all on a very personal level, and so we have a lot of decision making that we have to do and that we get to do. And so I just think whenever, as principals and administrators, we communicate with everybody. We go up, down, across the spectrum, and then we communicate with each other. I think on our campus level, As APs, we work together every single day with our principal because we're both first year assistant principals. So we all stick together pretty close to make sure that we're sharing a brain, that we know what's been said to teachers, what policies and changes and everything that's happening. We meet with our other counterparts at other campuses as well. But we are implementing a lot of things on our campus, and so we stick together to make sure that we are sharing a brain, and then that'll help us when we send out information to anybody else. So I think about influential parents that I see on our campus. A lot of times we do have our parent teacher organization, and we're lucky that we have a pretty good sized group of those people that come together. It is primarily women. It's moms mostly, and to kind of counter that, we have something called Bobcat Bros, which is a group of dads. And the only thing they're doing right now is coming on Fridays, and they open the cars for kids out in the pickup line, and we have some that go back to our buses, which are in a separate area. We're trying to grow that right now because just part of our parent family engagement, and our kids love having them on campus. And but really more our PTO is making decisions. They're holding things like our spring carnival is a big night for us, and it is a Title I night, but it's run by the PTO, and they decide who's coming to that and how it's happening. They do help with some fundraisers, because as a campus we can only have certain, like 2 big fundraisers a year, but the PTO can have as many fundraisers as they want, and they can hand out educational items to teachers, and they do a whole lot for us. And those same people are the ones that are really, those parents really are invested in our school. And I see that they have more power because, man, it's really hard to upset a parent that volunteers a lot, right? So when you know that that kiddo's mom is up here volunteering for all of the special events on our campus, and they're such a vital part, yeah, I think that they do get treated a little differently whenever they're going into meetings for their kids. And I don't think that anybody subconsciously means to give them a leg up, or we want to be matter of fact and data driven, but if we're all honest, it's a little bit harder when you've got volunteers who are helping all the time. You do tend to try to kind of want to make them happier, or not rock the boat. You appreciate them, and that's something I think is just good for me to be aware of, and maybe kind of get some more advice from upper leadership who's dealt with that a little bit more. But we're going to communicate with them. We have PTO meetings once a month. It's important for us as admin to attend those so that we know what's happening on our campus. We also share their posts. So they have a Facebook page and we have a Facebook page. Whatever they post, we share onto our page. We have a group me that we communicate with them. They have their own website even, with their newsletters, and they bounce everything off of us, make sure that it's okay. We give them approval. We ask for their help on things. We're in a lot of communication with them back and forth. They do a lot for our kids, so we're really thankful for them. So since we do live in the Bible Belt and we're East Texas, our churches do play a big part, and especially one church in our town. They open their doors to a lot of community events. We've even been able to have kind of like very relaxed field trips there on state testing days. They've opened their doors because they have a big gym. They're right by the city park. They have a nice facility that our kids that are not testing can go to, so that they're not trying to be so quiet during the days, and we really appreciate that. They can go there and have like some classroom time, some gym time. They can have outside their safe playgrounds. We partner with them a lot. A lot of their wives are actually in the PTA, so they also have run and helped us with staff appreciation type things, and they've been some extra muscle on campus. They have done things like they have a clothing closet, so they help our kids that might need some clothing. There's a food bank that we partner with that's a part of that same church too. So those relationships have been very vital, and they don't just help our campus. I mean, that's really district wide, that we've been able to partner with them. So we've appreciated that. We try to include them on conversations. They're welcome at board meetings. They're welcome in our PTO meetings, and a lot of them, like I said, a lot of their wives come to that, even if most of those church staff are male. So we have a lot of their kids on our campus too. So it kind of all goes together for us with them. We work together closely on certain projects, and it's really beneficial. This one is really interesting to me, but we have our teacher leaders that are big powerhouses on our campus, and they do help make a lot of decisions. They are often asked to go and make curriculum decisions when we're, and it's kind of the adoption change. We're not really adopting curriculum like we used to with the high quality instructional materials that are coming now, but we do get to pick. We have some choice, and so going forward, they will be on those committees that choose that. Our veteran teachers are our lead teachers generally who lead their teams. They're also going to be picked for committees like our site-based decision making and our DEIC committees. They're going to have a bigger voice because they've kind of seen the history of the school. They've proven that they're really loyal to our school district and invested, and we know that they want to see the district continue in a good direction. Um, we have lead meetings on our campus to where our lead teachers meet with admin once a month, and we kind of go through some kind of front load things that are going to happen on our campus. We get their input, we value their input. We use them to help us like bounce off like what's going to go well with this, what will go wrong with it, what do you think the reaction of the staff might be. So we rely on them a lot to help us clarify. They also will tell us the tea. They'll tell us how their teams are feeling, what's kind of the word on the street around the campus, and they'll be very blunt with us and let us know what's going well and what's not going well. And it's important for us to have that insider information. We can't fix it if we don't know. So we appreciate that a lot. For our whole staff, we do a weekly. We just changed it from an email to a s'more, which is a little bit easier on us on the admin side because it's, if you don't know what a s'more is, it's like a newsletter, but you can go from week to week and just make adjustments and changes. And the format is just a lot easier than putting a bunch of information into an email. I think it's more user friendly for people who are reading it too, because there's an easier way to put links in so that it'll link to different documents that we reference and that they need. We do have monthly faculty meetings as well as those lead meetings. So the lead meeting with our lead teachers is the week before the faculty meeting. So before we have the faculty meeting, a lot of times they kind of hear the scoop and kind of help us with that. So we work closely with them. So looking at students and alumni, I think a lot of times, and this kind of goes back to some of our teacher leaders too, a place where they might have a little bit more power in our school and than some other families. And I understand this because I'm not from the town that I work in. So before I became an employee, I had no say in which classes my kids went into. But if you're a teacher on campus, or if you're certain alumni that kind of rub elbows with the right people, you get to choose your teachers for your personal kids. Um, so we even have a form if you're on campus and you're, or I'm sorry, if you're a district level employee and you have a child that is pre-K through fourth grade, you get to fill out a form that requests the teacher that your child will have for that year. Now, it should only be for district employees, but we all know that that also goes for like PTO moms and people who volunteer a lot and your alumni and people who rub elbows with the principal. So that's a lot of power because you're going to pick those lead teachers who are experienced teachers, who are veteran teachers. You're not usually going to pick a first year teacher who might be struggling or a teacher with a different reputation. So that's what I really think of when I think about those lead teachers and alumni. I think they're getting teacher preference. And I will say that even my kiddo that's outside of that, I feel like sometimes I'm like, wow, we really got lucky with those teachers. And so I know that it kind of extends even beyond that, even though it's not a written policy. With our alumni, as far as elementary level, we don't see that a lot. High school just recognized some distinguished alumni. I know that they seem to deal with that a little bit more than we do. I think the way I just previously stated is how we see it more. And I don't even know if our students on their own are super influential as much as being associated with those just well-known people in the community, like their dad went here or their grandpa built this school or he was the first principal of this school, that kind of thing. It just comes from the pillars of our community that have been here for generations. They just do get some unwritten advantages. So all right, so I guess that kind of wraps it up. I was sitting here thinking about it the last time that we asked for a bond. It was a few years ago, and we really needed some improvements to our schools, and we needed to build another elementary school. And I think we were able to pass that bond because where a lot of these influential alumni and generational district people lived, that new elementary school was going on their side of town and they were really excited about it. And I think if that elementary school was trying to be built on a different side of town, would we have gotten the votes that we needed to pass that bond? In the end, I'm really thankful we got it because we improved all of our campuses. We did needed updates. We needed the space of having another elementary school, but I think that was just the best example I could think of how these power sources, like, they're undefined, they're hard to write down, but they very much exist, especially in I found in this rural district that I'm in. It's all about who you know, what you know, how long have you been around, and it really does make a difference. And it definitely impacts what kids, what teachers your kiddos get, and probably a little bit how you're treated when problems come up. It's good to be aware of.